today and talk to you about the different options that are out there for detoxifications. And I know there is quite a number of them already. You can see out there people putting out a lot of programs offering that, because a lot of us want to start anew in this new year, right? That's why they're saying new year, new you kind of starts. A lot of people see that as a form of detoxification. So first of all, I wonder, what kind of questions do you have about detoxification? What have you tried in the past, and how has it worked for you? And hi, Sandra. So, and I'm wondering also, as we're waiting for more people to come on, I'm wondering who here has done a thyroid detox in the past. So I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, it always reminds me of, when you take time off, like how incredible that feels. And so I went to Costa Rica for 2 weeks, and really a phenomenal farm. It was like a healing rejuvenation farm. Went completely vegan, a lot of times raw, did a lot of fruits and vegetables. Interestingly, I've put on some weight. I think it was the sugar from all the fruit. And but nevertheless, I felt wonderful, just giving the body a break from the proteins, from toxins, from stress, sleeping without an alarm clock, waking up without an alarm clock, having a lot of fresh air, minimal EMFs. It was just all of that did the trick. And so for some of us, we might feel like going a little bit deeper might be necessary. And so we always get a lot of questions about what kind of detoxes are safe, what is the right thing to do. And so I want to talk a little bit about that, because detox is, ultimately the reason why we do that is because we want to feel our absolute best. And when I say absolute best, it's like we want to feel that surge of energy. We want to feel like our hormones are getting a reset. We want to feel like our digestion is getting a break. I am a big fan of fasting or partial fasting, just because I've seen incredible results with that. And part of it is, if you think about it, the brain and the digestive system really take up the most energy. When you're putting food in your body every day, the body has to do a lot of work, right? Starting from the mouth, then it goes down to the stomach. The juices need to be released, the enzyme needs to be released in order to break the food down. Then it gets passed on to the small intestine. There's more work to be done. Nutrients have to be extracted, right? Passed on to the large intestine. And this is more work. Again, more work is done. All of those, every one of these organs are creating a movement in order to pass the food along. There's a lot of processes that are going on at the same time. And so that's why fasting, when you shut down that part of your body, then the juices, the energy that the body has, the mitochondria then has the energy to send to places where a lot of repair can be happening. And so I wasn't really fasting 100%, but I definitely I took a break from protein. I did a lot less fats that I would normally do. And so it definitely paid off in terms of energy and rejuvenation. But I want to tell you about a couple of best practices, if you will, for detoxification, because I think that's really important just to understand if you are embarking on some kind of a some kind of a detoxification program with something that has caught your eye. I want to just lay out a couple of foundations that really can make a difference. And how is it going to help your hormones, right? That's also important, because that's what I'm all about here, and I think that's why you're here, because you have hormonal stuff going on. So how is detox going to help you? The one thing we don't want the detox to create is further stress in the body, so that you're exhausting the adrenals even further. And so let me just give you a little bit of a backstory first. So about now it's going to be 8 years ago, I went to Thailand because I really felt like I needed a total reset, right? At that point of my life, there was a lot of personal changes going on, and I was just starting out my business, which was going not so great at that point. And so I needed a reset. And I went to Thailand, where I did a total fast for, I think it was 12 days as well. And what I loved about it, I loved that experience completely. And it wasn't, let me just say this, it wasn't about weight loss. It wasn't about, I just gotta do it because everybody's doing it, right? Or because I wanna lose a tummy, or because I wanna drop to 100 pounds or whatever. It was just about, like, I wanna feel clean inside out, and I wanna come out fresh out of this experience. And what I got out of it was so much more than that. And the biggest thing that came out for me was the fact that, you know, I got, it created so much of openings in every way. Clarity in terms of my business and the direction. It created clarity around relationships. It created a lot more courage to do things that I was afraid to do before. So basically, it's almost felt like it broke down a lot of the barriers that I had before about doing things or experiencing new things. You know, some of the fears I had maybe about relationships or cutting out people who were toxic in my life or whatever it was, it just created that effect. And I was so impressed with the results that the woman who was running the program at that point, Jody, I said to her, you know, I really want to create this program for an online version of it. And not everybody can afford to go to Thailand. Not everybody has the time and money to do that. I want to create the same, replicate as much as we can of your teachings in an online program. And this is how Thyroid Detox was created 7 years ago. So we took about a year to test out the program and we fine-tuned it. And one of the things that I'll tell you about Thyroid Detox that we are running, but also one of the things that I'm sharing this with you so that you know that if you're picking any detox program moving forward in January, so some of the best practices, what to look out for. So, you know, the biggest thing, I think the reason why we have so much great success with Thyroid Detox with over 3,000 people who've done the program is because we ease people into a detox process. So the one thing you don't want to do is jump into a program when it's sticking you from, you know, eating lots of meat every day, you are like full on fats, and maybe, you know, maybe you're addicted to coffee and all of that, and then suddenly throwing you into the deep water, because the side effects are going to be so horrendous that it is not only creating a lot of stress on your adrenals, which we don't want, because that's exactly what we don't want from this experience, but it's also gonna just discourage you. And you're always gonna remember the detoxification, you know, process is something that was just horrendous, right? Horrible headaches, terrible dreams, stuff starts coming out through the skin, right tongue, you know, feeling really nauseous. Some people vomit even, right? And so the one thing, what Jody and I have done with the Thyroid Detox program is that we've divided that into 3 parts. That's why it's called 5+5+2. The first 5 days is a pre-detox phase. And so when you're picking a detox program, I really urge you to work with somebody who really understands how to ease you into the process rather than be throwing into the deep water. And so the easing would mean basically slowly weeding off caffeine so you don't get a horrendous headache and you're completely dysfunctional and then you are a monster to be around with the people you love most, the people you work with, right? Because that's what happens when you get off caffeine, you get pretty crammy. So easing, and then easing also in terms of not going from like, you know, doing full-on meals to doing total fasting or doing only juicing. So it's going from 0 to 10, because again, it's too much of a shock to the body. So I'm really huge on nurturing the adrenals through a detox process and not shocking them any further. So what you want to do is, for example, what we've done it with the first 5 days of the pre-detox is you're still eating foods, but we are taking out protein slowly. We're taking out fats. We are slowly removing some of the salt. We're minimizing salt, right? So you're doing beautiful salads, you're doing some cooked foods, a little bit of raw food, you're doing broths, not bone broths, but vegetable broths that are warm, especially now if you're in the northern hemisphere, and you know, we are in winter right now, and some places are pretty cold right now. You know, we don't want to be doing anything that contains ice. We want to be keeping the body warm. Part of the stressor of bringing cold into the body results in the fact that when you're drinking anything that is cold, it shuts down the digestion. We don't want to be shutting down the digestion. We want the digestion to still be functioning at this point. So the pre-detox allows us to really prep up your body, ease yourself into it when the body is like getting ready, going like, okay, we're also reducing the portions as we go every day throughout the 5 days. The portions get reduced in the amount of food you're eating. And we describe how to do it using your hand, right? Palm of your hand. And then you go into the actual proper detox. Now, one of the things, again, I want to urge you on looking is that if you join in detox programs that all the provider is doing is pushing a whole bunch of supplements at you, right? That's not a good sign, because what happens is they're making money out of the supplements, and not necessarily does it go along with the changes that I'm talking about here, to guiding you through how to prepare your body, how to prepare your home, how to prepare yourself in terms of expectations. It just becomes more of a product sale than anything else. I've seen detoxes before when a whole bunch of products, and have you guys seen this before, when there's like a whole bunch of products that's being thrown out without any modifications to the diet, without any modifications to your lifestyle, like, you know, saying no to certain things during this time, right? And so that's the one thing that we don't particularly want to experience. So in a thyroid detox, when you go into the detox phase, which is 5 days, you have a choice of gentle or deep. Gentle is when you're still doing smoothies, right? And we don't use any ice, because I really do not like cold food. Cold food shuts down your digestion. For those of you who've never done a detox or fast before, I really like the smoothie option, because it's much more gentle. If you're ready for something a little bit deeper, then you take the deeper track, and we also explain how to fluctuate between those two. If you are ready for going a little bit deeper, then you go into a juicing fast, right? And the cool thing is also is that reason why I call it a thyroid detox is because the detox is thyroid ready. We do not use any raw cruciferous vegetables that, in the abundance of them can, in some people, create a huge oxalic load, and the oxalates can build up in the thyroid gland and be causing hypothyroidism. So this is the reason why we've created in a way that we actually don't use any cruciferous vegetables in the program, especially not in the juices. So, you know, but some of you might be asking, hey, what about, who here, by the way, has done a water fast before? Can you guys just share, anybody here has done a water fast? So the interesting thing about water fasts is, and the reason why I'm not a fan of those is because if you understand detoxification, then you know that water doesn't really bring the nutrients that are required in order to evacuate the toxins. So let me just explain that. In the detoxification process of the liver, there's phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification of the liver. In phase 2, there's certain compounds that are needed in order to break down the toxins that are fat soluble, to breaking them and converting them into water soluble toxins for phase 2 of liver detoxification. And interestingly, when the toxins get broken down in phase 1, they move on to phase 2, they're actually more toxic in phase 2 than they were when they first entered the body. And when I talk about toxins, I'm talking here about anything from viruses, bacteria, yeast, heavy metals, pesticides, any chemicals for that matter that come into your life, but also, you know, hormones, right? So things like utilized estrogen, especially the estrogen hormones, utilized thyroid hormones, they all have, but also neurotransmitters here, when I think about it, dopamine, serotonin, also is the function of phase 2 lemon water. Yeah, Annie's saying. And Annie, so I'm wondering, how has it worked for you? Share it with us. Some people, they get great results. What I have found, so let me just finish the thought of detoxification. So in phase 2, in order for these compounds to be taken care of, there's literally what happens is there are specific compounds, such as, depending on the liver pathway you're using, methylation pathway, the sulfation pathway, right? There's this glutathione pathway, there's 6 of them. There's different compounds that are needed in order to attach themselves to that toxin in order to evacuate it in your poop. And so interestingly, when you do water, you do not provide these compounds for your body to be attaching to the toxins in order to get evacuated. And this is the reason why I'm not a fan of water fasts, or also what's called the lemonade diet or the lemon water diet, is because some people can have a horrendous effects from that. I know people who've done it and felt pretty good, but these people have already been eating pretty well, so I don't suspect they were as toxic as otherwise, you know, most people would be. So this is the reason why in our detox phase, we never do water itself, we do juices, and specifically using very minimal fruit and a lot of vegetables in order to bind the toxins and get them evacuated. We're also using things like psyllium husk in order to, for to be like a sweeper. We're also using things like clay, in order for the clay extracts a lot of the toxins out of the intestines. And so a lot of these compounds have been designed there very intentionally in order for every one of them to have a role. Another thing you want to look into is that if you're joining any detox program and a lot of the juices have a lot of fruit juices in it, please be super cautious of that. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with in the past who had to either give it up halfway or they felt terrible on it because fruit juice is actually is worse than eating fruit. Why? Can you guys actually guess why that is so? Why is juice actually worse, especially during a detox phase, as comparing to doing fruit altogether? And I'm gonna wait for you to see if anybody gets that, and then I will come back to circle to this in a second. So this is the reason why we use very minimal fruit. It's more to give it a little bit of a a little bit better flavor. We're using quite a lot of lemon and orange and lime, including the skin, in order to alkalize the body, but also to use D-limonene, which is a fantastic compound found in the skins of the on the fruits, right, of the citrus fruit, that helps us with detoxification pathways. So that's basically, how this is done. And then the last 2 days is all about re-entry. Food grade diatomaceous earth clay. Teresa is asking. Yes, that's one of the things that we are using in the detox as well, as part of a drink in the morning, first thing. So yeah, so let me, in the comments, I'm gonna post the link so that you can take a look at it. But basically, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Now, and so I'm still waiting for you guys to tell me why the question that I was asking, I don't see any answers yet. So let's see if anybody gets that. So the other thing I wanna just mention is that for those of you, well, okay, so one more thing about a detox time like this is that, we focus a lot on the food element, right? And what I realized one thing is when I was doing a detox in Thailand, and I've done it multiple times after that myself, is that it's not just about food. Is during the time of detoxification, it's a pretty vulnerable time, right? You start having changes in your body, you start having weird dreams, strange moods, right? Initially it can be pretty, even though you're preparing yourself the first 5 days before that, but even in the first 5 days, some people are so toxic that even that can be very triggering for them. I've had women who never drank green juices before. They were getting nauseous from drinking a juice as part of the fast. But that's like if you just never eaten healthy before. I suspect most of you guys are not like that. So the time is pretty vulnerable. So this is also a time to carve out a space for yourself where you do more meditation and yoga and say no to more things and maybe take some time off from work. But also one of the things that we've incorporated into our detox program is time of letting go and journaling and doing vision boards. There's a couple of tools we have. We have a vision board for you to create. There is another one that is a journal of letting go, another journal of just writing down your thoughts, everything that's coming up. And people have phenomenal results with that. Interestingly, I always say, we're giving you all these tools, and start noticing which tool do you feel most compelled to use and try. And the funny thing is that typically the tool that you have most resistance to using is most often the tool that you need the most. So we've had people participate, in the past who said, yeah, when I thought about it, like I didn't want to do the letting go journal. I had resistance around it. And when they did it, it was the most shifting thing for them. And not a lot of people have problems with creating visions for yourself, like the sugar added to the juice. Yes, so, okay, so Robin Green saying it's too much concentrated fruit sugars, yeah. Let's see, Lori's saying possible answer, fruit juice not great in detox because it's high in sugar, lacks fiber. And that's exactly what it is, Lori, bingo. Marie's saying fruit juice would require more fruit and therefore more sugar is natural sugar, but sugar nevertheless. Yes, it is, absolutely. But the problem is with fruit juices that you don't have any fiber left in it. This is exactly what Lori said. You're taking all the fiber out. And what happens then, a fruit juice will give you a much higher spike in sugar levels as compared to doing a fruit. So for example, having a full apple, you're having a lot of fiber with that. You're increasing your blood sugar levels, but slightly, and the fiber helps you to utilize that sugar over a period of time, versus doing an apple juice, you're getting a spike in your sugar levels, and the fiber is not there to prolong the effects of the sugar. And then after that, a lot of times we get a crash soon after that, and we like, okay, what's next? What's the next sugar thing I need, right, to get it fixed? So basically, that's what it is. Yeah, great. So good answers, you guys. The other thing I want to mention is, so I'm gonna make a quick post about the detox. So the thyroid detox is basically thyroiddetox.com. It starts off with the free workshop, and I just posted the link. So if you guys want to check it out, check it out. And it's a program that's running, it's an evergreen product, so it's running all year long. You start whenever you want, and you also get support to our private group called Hormone Thrivers. That's a closed group for anyone who's done our programs. Super vibrant community, and in the group we probably have 1,000 women who have gone through the program and absolutely loved it. And many women do this over and over again, like once a year, twice a year. So think about doing that with us. Now, the other thing I want to share is that, I know that some of you are like, I don't have the time for this. I don't have the opportunity to take time out. So the other option I have for you is think about doing the Thyroid Complete Kit. So this is purely a supplement-based, a product-based approach, which I would strongly encourage you to do in conjunction with a clean diet, meaning get yourself off caffeine during that time, get off sugar as much as possible, don't do any gluten, get off dairy if you're still doing those. So off gluten, dairy, don't do any corn, soy, minimal sugar as possible, get off eggs as well, minimal protein. So you're doing like a mini detox in terms of your just really light food. If you're living in a cold climate, I suggest to do more cooked food than raw food, and then supplement that with our Thyroid Complete, our Detox Complete Kit, and the link is down below. And the reason why I say this is because I understand that not everybody has the time to be embarking on 12 days of a detox. It is a time of investment, it's super worth it, but not everybody can do it. So if you are one of those, we have a whole kit that contains really cool things in there. Vitamin Bs, which are critical in detoxification process. We've got things like milk thistle, which is historically used in Western herbalism as the default detoxifier, right? We got things like turmeric in it, and hugely anti-inflammatory. Let me just take a look at the full complete list. I've got that written out here. We've got, another huge one is there's one specific, so it's a kit that contains 4 products. One of them is specifically just to enhance the bile flow. So do you guys want to guess here, if you follow me for a while, you would know this, bile as in B-I-L-E. Why do you think promoting bile flow is important in liver detoxification and hormone balance? And I'm gonna circle back to this in a second, but I just want to pick your brain, you guys, and see what have you got to say about that. Yeah, bile is huge, and a lot of people have problems with bile. In fact, some of you might have had your gallbladder removed, and you might know I'm not a fan of having the gallbladder removed because it just simply impacts the hormones, and I'm wondering if you guys know what it is. I'm just gonna wait for your answers and circle back to give you the answer if nobody gets it right. So there's specific one product that promotes bile flow. It's got milk thistle, ox bile in it, so that's super helpful, and beet powder. Now, for those of you who maybe follow Sally Fallon, who've done a lot of detoxes in the past, that beets are huge. Not only are they are one of the compounds that actually helps with liver detoxification in the sulfation pathway, but also it's in Sally Fallon calls it the blood cleanser. The beet is a blood cleanser, right? So the pack contains beet powder as well. The other thing that are really cool is we have one whole product that's just phase 2 liver detoxification that I talked about, right? So that you have things like NAC, glycine, which is also found in bone broth, calcium D-glutarate. So calcium D-glucarate is one that I actually took a lot of before my surgery. If you're new to this, I had a double hip replacement done 4 months ago on the 28th of August. And but about 8 weeks prior to the surgery, I did a lot of work to prepare myself for it. But one of the big things I did was supporting my liver and doing a liver detox in order to be really be easy for my body to having a really easy time with getting rid of all that stuff they put me on. You know, when you go into surgery, there's a lot of stuff. They put you on antibiotics, you have no choice. There is anesthetics that they put you on. There's painkillers to be taken. I only took it for 2 weeks after the surgery. I was lucky because I recovered so quickly, but a lot of other people would take longer than that. So one of the big things that my doc put me on is the calcium D-glucarate, and that helps to tremendously with liver detoxification, to preparing it, especially if you have been on medication. For example, if you're taking thyroid medication, you know, by default, it has an impact on the liver. Calcium D-glucarate is a great way to supporting the liver. And it also contains, we have for the phase 2 liver detoxification, we have MSM, which is a form of sulfur. And sulfur, again, is the one of, you know how I was describing in the beginning that after phase 1, the toxins get broken down, and there has to be something that binds them in order to evacuate them, right? So sulfur is one of the big compounds used by the sulfation pathway, and MSM is one of those. Let's see. We got some bile answers here. I'm gonna read them out. Natalie's saying, bile carry the metabolized toxins and estrogen from the liver to the colon to flush out the system. Bingo, Natalie. Natalia John. That's exactly what it is. So I'm just gonna repeat this. She said, bile carries the metabolized toxins and estrogens from the liver to the colon to flush out the system. Exactly. The bile actually binds and I just want to be clear here, it's not just estrogen as a whole, just to be more precise, it's estrogen metabolites, which is actually, estrogen is not bad. Like, you would not be able to function without estrogen. I couldn't sit here and talk to you if I didn't have estrogen. So a lot of times we demonize estrogen because of the phenomenon of estrogen dominance, where actually it is the metabolites, how the estrogen gets broken down, that can be very harmful. So what the bile does is it binds the metabolized, the bad guys, the antagonistic metabolites of estrogen. Linda is saying, I have no gallbladder. How do I get my liver health back on? So Linda, the answer is, you know, I would strongly, so one is think about doing the detox with us, because actually that's super helpful. We are the thyroid detox that I posted. One thing is we don't use any fats whatsoever. It just resets the whole liver really beautifully. If you don't have the time to go deeper into detoxes, then get the detox complete kit from us, because it does contain ox bile as well. So not only are you helping the liver detoxify, but then also you are supplementing with additional ox bile. And so I am a fan of ox bile for people who don't have a gallbladder. It's going to tremendously help you detoxify you from your body from the different hormones. Sonia is saying our body needs the bile to flow. Okay. All right. So that's, I think I want to keep this. Let's see what other questions are coming in today from you guys. And I'm gonna actually be doing the detox starting next week. I'm traveling next week, so it's actually the week after that. I'm gonna be starting doing that as well, my own detox for the 12 days, just because I always feel absolutely amazing after that. I typically shorten the first 5 days to 3 days because I don't really need to pre-detox. I pretty much eat the pre-detox, you know, on a daily basis. I'm just gonna remove all the meats and then start reducing the portions. Cheryl is asking, is this a good detox for Hashimoto's? Absolutely, absolutely, yes. Both the product kit, which I posted, the Detox Complete Kit, Cheryl, is very safe for that. And as the name implies, thyroid detox, we actually originally developed that for thyroid conditions. So it's super safe for autoimmunity, also for thyroid. That's why we don't use any raw cruciferous vegetables in it. But furthermore, I actually want to mention to all of you guys, it's actually, that detox can be used by anyone really. You don't have to have a thyroid condition in order to benefit from it. We just call it that way because, and the name kind of stuck, and so I didn't want to change it. But really, it's for anyway, if you've got estrogen dominance going on, you've got menopause, hot flashes, fibroids, endometriosis is a really great way to reset your hormones. Awesome. So I want to wish you a very happy weekend. By the way, it's my birthday today. I'm turning 45. And I have to tell you, like, I feel like a 25-year-old in my body today, you know, because that's just how good nutrition, taking care of yourself just really pays off in such a big way. So I'm so glad to be back online. I'm just loving the interaction and the comments coming in, and so there's gonna be more of that. And next week, I wanna talk to you guys about estrogen dominance because I just had a friend who had her uterus removed due to, her uterus was just full of fibroids, right? And so she ended up resorting to, in the age of, she's in her late 30s, maybe early 40s, she had to have her uterus removed, which I think is tragic. She's always wanted to have kids. And so, but also with that, I realized there was a lot of conversations on that post saying, oh, thank God you're just done with it now. And then it was very triggering for me to see that because, fibroids is a sign of a huge imbalance called estrogen dominance, and we can mitigate all of that with that. So I want to talk about estrogen dominance next week. Actually, we're gonna do the Facebook Live earlier because I'm traveling. So let me think about that. So let's just say, I don't know about next week, but we'll definitely, the next Facebook Live that I'm gonna be doing is gonna be about estrogen dominance. Anyone who is having boobs, lumps on their boobs, fibrocystic breasts, uterine cancer, thyroid cancer is actually estrogenic cancer as well, thyroid nodules, fibroids, like I mentioned, endometriosis, all of those super common conditions, believe it or not, are the result of estrogen dominance. I want to talk about that because it's just removing a uterus doesn't solve the problem. The condition still remains and is going to create more havoc in other parts of the body. So I want to, as you know, I'm huge on prevention, not just addressing a condition. We don't want to have the kind of, we don't want to be in a position of having 20 fibroids in the uterus that look like rocks, like a bag of rocks, right? Thank you so much for all the wishes. I really appreciate it. Teresa is asking, what's your thought on kratom? I don't know what that is. Okay, and Teresa is saying her son's birthday is tomorrow. Yay, Capricorns. We are the stubborn, hardworking people, aren't we? Are you dealing with a very stubborn child? Natalia is asking, what is recommended for fatty liver? What foods should be avoided? So interestingly, Natalia, fatty liver actually, it's not because of fatty foods, believe it or not, but a lot of times it is the function of how many carbohydrates and sugar you're consuming, because actually it's the sugar that gets turned into fats. So think about doing, giving yourself a bit of a reset, whether you do a detox with us, whether you just completely get off sugar, put up all the sugary foods, it's up to you. But that would be my biggest recommendations to see fatty liver. If you're talking about the non-alcoholic fatty liver and having enzymes elevated, yeah, okay, cool, you guys. So wishing a very happy weekend, and I'll talk to you next, and we're gonna be talking about estrogen dominance. All right, bye for now.